Less than 24 hours away from the NBA trade deadline, we got a jam-packed episode today. We'll be talking about whether Kevin Huerter actually fits with the Pistons, whether he'll be good for them, and also, we'll find out later, why am I doing the windy meme? The Pistons did something super interesting. We'll break it down. Today's episode, Locked On Pistons Podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Ku Khahil. You can find me over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years for the Locked On Network, been a credentialed media member over the last 3 years, and I appreciate all of you guys who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support this podcast. And later on, we'll discuss, do the Pistons have to make another trade? Do they have to make another trade? We'll discuss it later. Also, again, like I said earlier, I'll find out why I'm doing the windy meme. The Pistons have done a very interesting move today, about an hour ago before I recorded this podcast. I'll talk about what that could all mean for the Pistons. We're going to start with talking about Kevin Huerter and whether he actually could be an impactful player for the Detroit Pistons. I do want to let you guys know the reason why the last 2 episodes have come out late is because I've been waiting until like the very last moment of the night to get these out just in case anything happens. It's been a crazy 2 days. We've had so many trades happening. So I wanted to wait until the end of the night, give it the best chance possible that I don't miss any news. Now, literally just 2 minutes ago, the Charlotte Hornets made a trade. So maybe I didn't wait long enough. But let's go ahead and talk about Kevin Huerter, who is the one player. We'll get to Šarić. He'll come up in the next segment. But Huerter is definitely, it seems like he's definitely staying and being a part of the Detroit Pistons. He was at their practice this morning. There was video of him at the practice getting some warm-ups in. He was on their injury report, quote, as trade pending questionable for tomorrow's game against the Washington Wizards. So I think it's pretty safe to say that he's going to be staying. He's not going anywhere. With that said, last podcast, we talked about everything about the trade, why they do it, the salary implications. I feel like I attacked every single angle possible on the last podcast about why they made this trade and everything about it, except about whether I actually thought Huerter was good. That was probably a key angle to miss there. I tried. There was a lot going on. Huerter is you hear his name, you probably think he's a three-point shooter. Like, a lot of people will probably believe he is a three-point shooter. And for the vast majority of his career, he was. For the first, 6th season of his career, he's 38% from deep, 38% from deep, 36% from deep, 39% from deep, 40% from deep, 36% from deep. That's all on a decent volume as well, 6 shot attempts a game. That's while he wasn't even playing near, or he was close to around 28 minutes a game. So he was getting around six threes up per game on those percentages. He was known as a pretty good shooter, especially during his time with Sacramento that year that they had that big season that they lost to Golden State in the first round. He was a really good three-point shooter. However, the reason why I bring that up, he has not been a good three-point shooter the last 2 years. Last year for Sacramento, and then when he got traded to the Bulls, he has not been a very good three-point shooter. And then this year with the Bulls, he has not been a good three-point shooter. Now, in the 26 games he played for the Bulls last year, he actually did recover some of the shooting for him. He shot 37% on 7.2 attempts a game. But on the season, he was at 33%. And then this year with the Bulls, in the 44 games he's played, he's down at 31%. So we're now on a 2-year sample size of his shot disappearing. My question, and I can't answer this because I haven't watched enough of him, my question for him is, do defenses still guard him like a shooter? Because a lot of times, and you hear coaches talk about this a lot, spacing and gravity is a lot to do with reputation, sometimes even more so reputation than your actual percentages. Like, if you get a bunch of threes up and the players respect you as a shooter and they think of you as a shooter, they'll guard you like a shooter. Like, the best example of this, I would say, is like Trae Young. Trae Young has not been a consistent three-point shooter, especially from the range that he tries to get them up from. But he has this reputation as a guy that can shoot from 30 feet, so he oftentimes gets trapped still. They oftentimes play him like he can come off a pick and roll from 30 feet away, and raise up. Even if the percentages say he's not going to make it very often, he's built this reputation as a guy that can do it, so defenses respect it. So my question that I want to see and we'll see it answered, do defenses still guard him like a three-point shooter? Because even if he's not hitting a ton, now you'd like to see him hit a ton, but even if he's not hitting a ton, having another guy that defenses respect as a shooter could help the spacing within the half court. Last point on his shooting, he had a very large sample of being a really good shooter. So if you're someone who wants to believe that 7 years of being, or what is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 years of being a good three-point shooter. It should outweigh the 2 years of him struggling from three. It should outweigh that. I understand that. I'm hesitant to say that because he's in the middle of a season still not shooting well. I'm not saying it can't happen, that he can't show up in Detroit and start shooting a lot better, especially if he gets better quality of looks when he's playing with Cade. That could happen, but I'm hesitant to think that. But outside the three-point shooting, he actually brings a little more to the table than people probably think. This is a guy who actually is very, very good inside the arc, not only on mid-range shots, not only on floater-type shots, but he's a very good finisher at the rim. A very good finisher. Borderline, you probably could say elite finisher for his archetype and for his volume. Elite finisher. According to Synergy, he's in the 82nd percentile at the rim. If you're just looking at layups, just layups at the rim, he's in the 90th percentile. He is shooting, if this thing would load for me, he is shooting 66% on layups at the rim. He's very, very good finisher. Very good finisher. To add on to that, he also has a little bit of some passing chops. He has some length to him, some size. He competes more defensively than a Duncan Robinson. Like, he's a better defender than Duncan is. Like, he actually can make some plays defensively. He's a decent defender. Not anything great, but he's a decent defender. And because of how good he's been as a finisher, he's been incredible in transition this year. He's in the 79th percentile as a transition player. And like I was mentioning earlier with some of the passing chops that he has, according to Synergy, he has 136 possessions of running pick and rolls that include passes. So it's including pick and roll reps where he is the shooter, the scorer, and the reps where he's passing to a direct scorer. He has 136 possessions of that. He's in the 78th percentile. They score 1.05 points per possession when he's ran pick and rolls this year. So he has a chance. He's not as good as he was in Sacramento because the three-point shot has disappeared. If the three-point shot recovers, if he comes back, like last year, the second half of the year, when he shot 37% with Chicago, if that happens here where the second half he gets traded to another team and he shoots better here, if he shoots 37% in Detroit and he's also bringing some of the defense that's better than Duncan, some of the ability to get downhill and finish at the rim at the level he does, some of the ability to run some pick and rolls at time, another really good transition player, by the way, where the Pistons love to live in transition. This is another fantastic transition player. This could be a really good trade for the Pistons. They end up getting that pick swap. That pick swap, honestly, I think could end up coming in really in handy. The more I've sat on it, the more I've thought about the fact and kind of like the deal even more because of the pick swap. Like being able to go from 29 to maybe 22 in a very loaded draft that a lot of people like. I mean, that could be pretty valuable. That could be pretty valuable. And it could also allow them to move up from, if they were to be at like 22 or 23. It's easier to move up from 22, 23 with the pick and maybe another second or two, whatever, to get back up into the teens if Trajan likes somebody. And when you are a contender and when you are a team that's going to be paying all your young guys, you need to be able to find cost-controlled players to impact your team. Look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's how they've been able. Now, they've made some moves as well, but they have a lot of cost-controlled players that they've drafted really well with. So I really like the pick swap, to be honest with you. And Kevin Huerter, he has a chance to be actually pretty good for the Pistons. He was not bad for Chicago. Like, if you look at some of his impact metrics, I know a lot of you guys listen to this probably don't really care about his advanced metrics and some of his impact metrics. I mean, he actually was not bad for Chicago. I know the three-point shots disappeared this year, and that hurts. It definitely does hurt. You'd like to see that return, but even with that, like, he wasn't bad. He was a good, like, role player for the Chicago Bulls. He was a decent defender. He's a very good player in transition. He finished at the rim really well. I'm not going to go through and name all of his all of these impact metrics. I'm sure no one really cares for him. But he has a chance to be pretty good for the Pistons, I think. If the three-point shot can recover and he can be a better three-point shooter here than he was in Chicago, I think he has a chance to be really good. But even the player he just was in Chicago, some extra finishing at the rim, another guy that can kind of run some weak side actions or attack a closeout, get downhill, attack a gap, and make the right decision, like that, there's a chance he could be really good for the Pistons off the bench. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a chance he could. And he has more size. So I know Trajan and JB love having size. So he could be good. We'll see what happens. Hopefully the three-point shot recovers. Then it would be really a home run move, but we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Coming up, this is what I'm really looking forward to. Why am I doing the windy meme? The Pistons did something. If you don't know what the windy meme is, it's a few years ago where the Jazz made some interesting moves and Windy was on first take. He was like, I want everyone to understand, why would they do that? And he was kind of like hinting that he knew something. It's a meme that went viral, obviously. And what he was hinting at, what we ended up finding out later that day, I actually think, is that they were making deals to free up cap space or get extra picks to move Donovan Mitchell. Something to do with Donovan Mitchell. They did moves to free up that possibility. It was just a domino to fall. That potentially could be something the Pistons are doing with the move they just did, a low-key move. We'll talk about it coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and locations. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through the mismatches. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Now I've got to tell you about another one of our sponsors, TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today with TurboTax. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And like we've been talking about, less than 24 hours away from the trade deadline. And if you want to be a part of a group chat and be a part of a community to talk about everything going on with the trade deadline, if you want to give our Everydayer Club a chance and get the first month for free, well, you can head over there now. If you use code DEADLINE at the link in the description down below before February 5th, by the end of February 5th, you will get your first month for free and you'll be able to join the Locked On Pistons Discord server with the Everydayer Club. You will also get ad-free versions of this show. No more ads, clean listen of Locked On Pistons. Check it out, description down below. One of the links down below, you'll see it right there at the top. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this potential sneaky move the Pistons have made. I just want to make sure I haven't gotten a Shams notification. It's been going crazy. So the Pistons have added Daniss Jenkins to the injury report, but it's not due to an injury. It's due to them sending him down to the G League tomorrow. And he's been ruled out for the game against the Wizards. Why is that interesting? That is interesting because tomorrow, if Jenkins played, or if you listen to this on the day of, the 5th, the game on the 5th against the Wizards, that would have been his final game of the 50 games he could play as a two-way guy. That would be his final game, the day of the deadline. Why does that matter? I can tell you guys, and there's been multiple reports about this from almost every single insider out, Shams, Mark Stein, everyone. The Pistons want to and are planning to and are going to give Daniss Jenkins a regular season contract, a fully guaranteed contract to come onto the main roster so he can play for the rest of the season. So if that's the case, why are they sitting him out tomorrow instead of just converting him to a regular roster spot? Why are they doing that? Well, it's a little bit of connecting some dots and talking with some people, and then talking with some cap space people, some salary cap people. Here's why they would do this. Dario Šarić was traded for by the Detroit Pistons. You have not heard him. You have not seen him at practice. You have not seen a post about him. You have not seen them talk about him like they have with Kevin Huerter, because he's going to be on the team. Šarić, no matter what, is not going to be on this team. Now, in order to give Daniss Jenkins a roster spot, they do have to clear up one more roster spot. And could they simply just waive Dario Šarić and then give Daniss Jenkins that roster spot? They 100% could, and that's not completely off the table yet. That could even happen still. However, what else could possibly happen, and why I think they did this, based off what I understand, is because it gives them flexibility for if they are making a trade for a numerous of reasons. Let's start with this one. If they were to waive Dario Šarić, give Daniss a contract, and then try to make a trade, they are getting very close to the luxury tax. They do not want to be in the luxury tax. They don't want to be near the luxury tax. They are very close. If they were to go that route, they would be very close. So they don't want to do that. They have 24 hours or less than 24 hours at this point to make a trade. They don't want to go ahead and just waive Dario Šarić now, give Daniss a contract if they think they could still be making a trade, because then it puts them in a spot they don't want to be in. That's reason number one. Reason number two is that if they were able to then trade Dario Šarić into another team's cap space or into another team's exception, they could then make a trade and sign Daniss and be farther away from the luxury tax, have more flexibility. What they could also do is they could trade Dario Šarić into some space, and instead of having to eat the $5 million for this year, they could send him with a second round pick or two, and then sign Daniss within that roster spot. Maybe then they don't make any trade. But I don't believe they would do that. I don't think they would trade Dario Šarić and waste multiple seconds to just send him into someone else's space if they weren't doing that because they wanted to create room to be able to make another move. So basically what they're doing here, I believe, from my understanding, if I understand everything correctly, it doesn't make sense to just sign him now and waive Šarić unless they're operating with the sense of wanting flexibility for a trade happens, for if a trade does happen. They're doing this because they want flexibility. And the other thing is, this is an important part of this as well. And look, I'm going completely like connecting dots here. We were going Sherlock Holmes. I talked with some people. This isn't just coming out of nowhere, but it is a little bit of connecting some dots. And I talked with some salary cap people. But the other part we have to keep in mind here is that the Pistons are on the front end of a back-to-back tomorrow. The front end is Washington. The back end, I believe, is New York, right? It's against New York. If they have a bunch of bodies let's say they do make a trade. It's on the table. Let's say they do make a trade. And then they have a lot of guys out. They have a lot of empty bodies because guys are moving cities. Physicals haven't been passed yet. They would not want to be just left without anybody against the Knicks. So they'd rather be able to use Daniss' last game against the Knicks than against the Wizards, who they can probably handle without. They don't need Daniss to handle the Wizards. They don't need him to handle the Wizards. And you don't make the. I can already hear some of you guys asking, well, Ku, why wouldn't they just sign him now? No, they don't want to sign. You don't sign Daniss yet right now if you think there's a possibility you can make a trade tomorrow, because then you're closer to the luxury tax. So they're keeping flexibility open for if they can find a team to take Dario Šarić's contract, and then maybe they can do something else. And they have more flexibility doing it that way. And then after, because this is the thing as well, if they were to wait until, I think the trade deadline's 3 p.m., if they were to wait till then, they don't know as of right now, do we have to waive somebody to give Daniss his roster spot, or are we going to be making a trade that opens up this roster spot for Daniss, and are we doing anything else? They don't know that right now. So instead of wasting time and waiting until the very last second to do something, they're going to just go ahead, hey, Daniss, you'll sit out this game, go down to the G League, we'll bring you back up for the game against the Knicks. This is my read. We'll bring you back up for this game against the Knicks for your final 50 game, and then we'll give you the contract after that. Because his contract, also, this is another point, his contract is prorated, which means that each day that goes by is a little less money that he will get on the minimum contract he'll get the rest of the year. Now, I don't think they would wait one day just to save however minimal amount of money. I don't think they would do that. I think that would, if I would take a little bit of offense to that if I was Daniss, that you're pinching pennies that much for 1 day's worth of salary. So I think that's off the board. I don't think that's why they're doing this. The next part of this that we need to start connecting dots to is that if this is all what's happening, what teams out there can absorb Šarić's contract? What teams out there left have either cap space or an exception left that can take Šarić's contract on and give the Pistons the flexibility to do what they want to do tomorrow? These are the teams I understand as of right now. The Brooklyn Nets, the Pacers, the Wizards, and maybe Utah. Not sure yet about Utah. Not sure if they've updated their situation after acquiring JJJ or not. So maybe Utah, don't know yet, but you got Brooklyn, the Pacers, and the Wizards. Those are the teams, as of I understand right now, that have cap space or an exception that can take on Šarić's contract. Now, you're talking about, next thing we have to talk about here, what would be the cost of doing that? Well, actually, this is the perfect time to talk about it, because right before I started recording this, the Charlotte Hornets did exactly what we're talking about right now. Charlotte Hornets did exactly what we're talking about right now. They sent, if I could pull the trade up here, I have so many updates from Shams. Okay, here it is. They sent not the Hornets, I'm sorry. The Magic did exactly this. They traded this player to the Hornets. The Magic traded Tyus Jones to the Charlotte Hornets for cash considerations. Like I said, they did it for the exact reason I'm talking about here. It was to duck the luxury tax. In order to do that, in order to get the Hornets to say, yeah, we'll take the contract, they had to trade the Hornets 2 second-round picks. So I think that just set the market. That right there, if the Pistons want to do what we're talking about right now, and that's why they kept this flexibility open, that's what they're thinking about doing, that's what their plan is, I think this kind of just set the market. If they were going to send Šarić into Brooklyn or Indiana or Washington's cap space, Charlotte and Orlando to set the market, that kind of thing's going to take 2 second-round picks. So, I mean, after all of that, that's a lot of info I just put out there. After all that, I think you come afterwards and think this. You have to, this is what if you're the Pistons, this is what you got to consider. Is what you have planned worth giving up 2 second-round picks to dump a contract? I don't think. This is where I'm at. This is not based off things I'm hearing. This is just based my own reading in between the lines here, just connecting. This is just purely me. I don't think you dump Šarić's contract and give up 2 second-round picks just to create a roster spot for Daniss. The only reason why, to me, you are giving up 2 second-round picks, I'm assuming 2 second-round picks because of why I just said that I feel like the Hornets to set the market. I don't feel like you give up 2 second-round picks just to create a roster spot unless you are doing it because you have another deal that you're doing it because you want to make another deal, that you have to do this in order to get this part done that you want to do. If it's just to create a space for Daniss, I don't think you give up 2 second-round picks to do it. I think you just eat the $5 million from Šarić this year. I don't think it would make sense to trade 2 second-round picks with Šarić just to open up a roster spot if that's all you're doing, because you can do that you can do that just by waiving them. That's easily, and that very well could be what they do, is just waive them. But that's why I think that if you do get a notification, Pistons are trading Šarić and 2 second-round picks into whatever's team exception, that tells me there must be something else about to happen. It doesn't make sense to me why you would do that, get rid of 2 second-round picks, to say goodbye to 2 second-round picks just to give Daniss a contract. Well, you can waive Dario Šarić, keep your second-round picks, and just eat the $5 million expiring contract. So that's where I'm at right now. That's why I'm going to be very interested. I'm going to be watching this like a hawk to see, do the Pistons end up finding a trade? If I get a notification that says to me the Pistons have traded Šarić and 2 second-round picks somewhere, I'm immediately thinking, okay, there must be something else coming then. Because it just doesn't make sense to me. That wouldn't make sense to do that just to give a roster spot. And all the reasons that we just went through is why they were doing this. It's classic Trajan Langdon keeping flexibility. It's classic Michael Blackstone keeping flexibility. That's who the salary cap guru is in the Pistons front office. It's them keeping flexibility open and allowing themselves to maybe be able to do something by the deadline tomorrow, instead of handicapping themselves 24 hours before. I guess now we're at 16 hours away. And also, I'll say this: I don't think anything would happen tonight, because if they thought something would happen tonight, you wouldn't see them already send Daniss Jenkins to the G League this early. Like, if they thought it was going to happen now, I don't think they send Daniss out. That tells me they think it's going to be at least at the earliest it happens tomorrow. If nothing even happens, we could get to the deadline. They weren't able to do what they wanted to do, and it's like, okay, well, now we'll just waive Šarić. Daniss will miss this game against the Wizards. We don't really need him against the Wizards, and then we'll give him the contract for the Knicks. That could be all what happens as well. But this is, after talking with some people and talking with some salary cap gurus, this is my understanding of why they did this. And I think that's all really interesting. I'm a nerd. I love this all little interesting, detailed stuff. So I think this is all super cool, to be honest. I'd love to be in a front office. I think this is all super dope and super cool. Let me know what you guys think. Comment section down below. Are there anything, or let me phrase it like this. After hearing this, is there anything that maybe some of you guys who are well-versed with the cap or in the trade machines, is there anything that you guys are eyeing with this all understood? Like, maybe if they do this, they could swing this. Is there something that you guys maybe are looking at after hearing all this? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Coming up, I want to discuss, do the Pistons have to make a trade to make this feel like a successful, I guess, trade deadline? Do they have to make one, or are we going to be leaving disappointed if they don't make one? We'll talk about it coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn to storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 of bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. The last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today with FanDuel. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free to web on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. If the Pistons, let me know before I even give my answer here. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know over on Twitter or over in the comments, whether it be on YouTube or on one of the podcast platforms. Let me know in the comments. Do the Pistons have to make another trade for you guys to feel good about this team after the deadline passes? My answer here is no, they don't have to. Now, I would like them to. I very much would like them to make another deal. I very much would like them to clear up this guard room even more. I very much would like to see them use Caris's contract and move on from him. I very much would like to see them even package him and Sasser to move. Like, I would very much like to see them make another move to add another shooter to the front court. I would love that. I think that's something they should be looking to do. I think they should do it. But if they don't, I can't sit here and say that I'm going to be raging. I'm going to be furious. The team is 37-22, man. The team has the best defense in the league the last 2 months. They're first in the Eastern Conference by a wide margin at this point. They beat Denver, who everyone's saying, now I know Denver is missing some guys. I don't want to sit here and stun on them like they had everybody. But they did have Jokic. They beat Denver, who everyone considers like the second best team in the West. They've beaten Boston. They've beaten New York. I can't sit here and say that if they don't make a big move or if they don't make another move, I'm sitting here spazzing. Because the team's in a good spot nonetheless. I think they could be in a better spot, and that's why I'd like them to do another one. But do they have to do anything for me to be pleased with them? Not really. Like, I maybe would be a little bit disappointed that they didn't try being more aggressive, but I wouldn't really sweat it too much. And I'm going to bring up the trade. I know I said I'm not going to mention it much, but I kind of have to here. The trade they made was very clearly like the top of their goal going into the deadline. This is what they wanted to do. So they accomplished this. Like, this is what, and I said this in the last episode, this trade wasn't necessarily made to make the team, like, if it makes the team better this year, which it could be, Huerter's actually been better than I think people think. But if it makes the team better this year, then great. I don't think I don't think there's any chance it makes the team worse. You're trading the 9th, 10th guy of your rotation. He was playing 12, 7, 15 minutes. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So if this trade makes the team better, that's a bonus. But it's very clear that coming into the deadline, one of the top priorities of this team and of the player they traded as well was, we want a fresh start. We're not going to pay you this offseason. We don't value you right now. We don't really look at you as that big of a part of this future right now. You want a fresh start. You don't want to be a part of this right now. You want a bigger role. You want a better chance. Like, both sides wanted to move on. That was obviously the most important thing, and they achieved that. That's what they wanted to do. Now, if they can do anything else, that'd be great. But to me, it seems very clear that was their goal, and anything else they can do, it would just be a cherry on top. So I don't think a big move is coming nonetheless. Like a big move, I don't think that's coming anyways. If they don't make another move, I think they're in a fine position. I think I remain worried, I should say, in the playoffs with this limited shooting they have. I do think it's something that could rear its ugly head in the second round of the playoffs and be a reason why maybe they go home earlier than we all want them to. So I do want them to make another deal. But I can't sit here and tell Trajan. I can't sit here and tell JB. I can't look at any of their faces and say, "Hey, you're first in the East. You're beating all these really good teams. You're beating these great teams. If you don't make a move, you guys are not going to be good." Like, it's hard for me to make that argument. It's hard. I can feel that way, but it's hard for me to make that argument and expect anyone within the Pistons organization to look at me and be like, "You're right." Like, if you get you guys get what I'm saying, like. So that's why I can't be super mad if they don't, and why I don't think they have to do anything. I'd like them to, but I don't think they have to. So let me know, comment section down below, or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Do you believe the Pistons have to make another move at this deadline? Again, you guys know where to let me know at. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on our podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. We'll see what happens during the deadline. Until then, peace out, everybody.